Fargo-Moorhead.
And welcome to Weather and Ag in Focus. Good Thursday. It's Thursday, right? Good Thursday afternoon. It is a chilly one out there. Wow, 30 degrees colder today than it was at this time yesterday.
I could live with colder. Could you dial down the wind a smidge?
No doubt. Well, the winds have come down since this morning. We're about 20 miles an hour right now, and we'll take that. And winds will continue to kind of calm down under partly cloudy skies. But tonight, many areas already saw their first freeze or first frost. Tonight will be the first widespread freeze of the season for South Dakota, Iowa, or Minnesota.
Does this mean I get to play hockey tomorrow morning?
Not that cold.
Shoot.
No, not that cold.
Not an instant freeze of the lakes?
No.
Also different if you'd be good at hockey, but we'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
Hey.
And today, so coldest air of the season coming in, and that will be led by a quick warm-up this weekend. We'll have more on that a little later, but today is the first day of the LRC, too. The brand new cycle starts today. If you want to know more about that, I put an article up on our website, so WDAYradionow.com. Also shared it to our Weather and Ag page on Facebook as well.
I feel like I should have brought gifts for you guys, considering it's the first day of the LRC.
It is. I know. First day of Christmas for us.
Yeah. But our Christmas lasts anywhere between 30 and 70 days.
Right.
So.
Ours is
I'm
extended.
not buying you that many gifts.
Oh, come on.
Just one is fine.
Just one
big one at the end, right?
I'll take one of those suitcase weights that you had in here.
Oh, the war bell that I had last week. I'll see what I can do about getting you.
You'll be sore the next day if you use that.
No.
Yeah, you were when Farm Fit Mama was in here, you were beat up the next day. You could hardly walk.
What? You're not supposed to tell people that, Dean. I excelled. That's what I did.
That's what you did. Okay. But yeah, check out that article. It's we kind of give a preview on what may happen with the LRC this upcoming season. Although we won't know until that full cycle resets, and that'll be anywhere between about 30 and 60 days from today. So we'll see what happens. It should be It's totally different from last year already on day one of the LRC. So we'll see. We'll see how that continues.
Well, today is going to be much different too. We actually have two guests today. We're going to have. Shane is going to join us from Irie Insurance in our next segment. We'll have a chance to visit with him about farm machinery insurance, some other things. And then also we have another guest, and that is
Joshua Havill, University of Minnesota graduate, or student, I should say, and he's working with the Department of Plant Pathology to breed a better variety hop suited for the upper Midwest's more humid climate.
Our streak continues as we talk about beef and beer a lot.
There we go.
Nothing wrong with that.
Not at all. So we're going to find out what that means if we can get a better, more thriving crop variety, hop variety up here. What's that going to mean for the local brewers up here in North Dakota, South Dakota, Minnesota? Cheaper, better, higher quality?
Yes.
Josh will have all the answers. So make sure you stay tuned. We'll be joined with Shane Lark from Irie Insurance coming up here right after ABC News.
From ABC News, I'm Sherry Preston. Reaction continuing to come into the decision by OPEC Plus, the multinational conglomerate of oil-producing countries, to cut oil production by 20 million barrels a day starting November 1st. Here's ABC News Chief White House correspondent Cecilia Vega.
President Biden says that he is concerned by this. The White House is calling this move a mistake and misguided, saying clearly it shows that OPEC is siding with Russia on this one. And look, we are hearing that the administration plans to release at least 10 million more barrels from the strategic oil reserve starting next month, and that President Biden is now considering releasing even more on top of that. But really the big question is whether that will help very much in the short term.
And then there's jobs. After falling to a new low to round out September, weekly claims for unemployment benefits took a leap during the last week of September.
The numbers are still preliminary, but in the week ending October 1st, 219,000 Americans filed their first claims for jobless benefits. That's 29,000 more than the week before, when first-time filings were their lowest since early May. The numbers suggest to economists that the Fed's attempts to keep the economy from overheating might be taking hold, that the job hunters market might be shifting. Jim Ryan, ABC News.
In Ukraine, troops continue smashing through Russian lines, taking back more land. ABC's Britt Clennett is in Kyiv.
The Kremlin now laying claim to more territory. We will keep consulting residents who would be eager to embrace Russia. Putin also officially announcing Russian control of Ukraine's Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant. Ukraine's foreign ministry calling it a criminal act.
According to new CDC data, 86% of kids under 17 have antibodies from past COVID infection, up from 75% in April. Doctors still encourage parents to get their kids vaccinated, saying immunity from the shots and a possible prior infection provides the most protection. Jury deliberation expected today in the trial of Alex Jones, the conspiracy theorist who lied about the Sandy Hook massacre. You're listening to ABC News.
Do you know what people see when they Google you? Search engines don't always get it right. And when they're wrong, it's your reputation on the line. So what do you do when you don't agree with your search results? Call Reputation Defender at 800-401-6681. Reputation Defender by Norton is one of the most trusted names in online reputation repair. We have over a decade of experience in fixing people's search results, and we can help you too. Using cutting-edge approaches, Reputation Defender pushes unflattering information down to lower pages of your search results, where few people ever look. We also promote the good stuff so that it rises to the top, letting you put your best foot forward. Your good name is too valuable to leave to the whims of a Google algorithm. You owe it to yourself to take control with Reputation Defender. Visit www.reputationdefender.com or call 800-401-6681 for free advice on your situation. 800-401-6681.
Attention truck drivers, are you looking for a career with a company that values you and your family and great people? Proceed is looking for you, now hiring truck drivers in Amenia. Proceed offers the best benefits package in the industry, paying $22 to $25 an hour, along with a great work experience. Come work with a great group of people at Proceed and enjoy your career. Call or text Proceed today, 701-219-4866. And tell them Beth sent you.
If you love helping adults with developmental disabilities and want to work in a culture with benefits nobody else can match, apply today at Red River Human Services. Enjoy a $17 per hour starting wage, health insurance benefits at 30 hours per week, quarterly wage adjustments, hourly increases after 90 days, and a possible $750 signing bonus. Apply now for this amazing position at rrhsf.org or call 701-235-0971 and see how great it is to work at Red River Human Services.
Now more than ever, it's important to support companies and organizations that share our values. Patriot Mobile not only shares our beliefs, but actually does something about it. America's only Christian conservative wireless carrier. And they donate a portion of every dollar to organizations that fight for causes you care about. Switch to Patriot Mobile now. Get free activation with the code FLAGFAMILY. Switching is easy. Go to patriotmobile.com/flagfamily. patriotmobile.com/flagfamily or call 972-PATRIOT. 972-PATRIOT.
And this is WDAY Weather and Ag in Focus. Thank you for joining us. We're glad to have you here today. This is Bridget Riedel. I am the Ag Director, ignoring the antics of Chief Meteorologist Dean Wysocki and Meteorologist Extraordinaire Justin
I'm glad
Storm.
that you threw him in there, too.
Yeah, right.
He's like standing here trying not to laugh.
I'm just trying to keep a straight face.
I'm so glad that everybody who is watching us stream live on Facebook or on Acres TV is getting a great eye full of good entertainment today.
We're eye candy.
That's what it is.
We are eye candy.
We're also
Yes, you
ear
are.
candy.
That's
Both.
very true.
We are.
Now, to add to that, we have a guest.
We have.
Shane Larch with Irie Insurance is joining us on the phone today. And Shane, thank you for being here. I hope you've been giggling as you listen to us today. I appreciate that. Hopefully,
I have. Thank you for having me.
awesome. All right, over at Irie Insurance, it is a harvest. What are the calls that you are getting that we want to remind folks that they should have some coverage from you for those problems?
Well, we do have some bushel or yield loss coming in. It's sporadic, but it's there. We've handed out prevent plant claims. Mother Nature was in a very bad mood at the start of the year, and I think she finally got her plan straightened out. So one other claim we've been getting quite a few of is, with bean pods lower to the ground, we suck things up with our combine. So rock congestion is a big one.
So, okay, this is going to be kind of a sideline story, but What's the worst thing that someone has run through their combine you've had to cover as far as insurance is concerned?
Well, I had a friend, very good friend and client, run a 12-inch digger shank all the way through. And it's, if you can imagine what that is going through a tight object like a combine, it wasn't a pleasant sound and it wasn't a pleasant outcome.
So that is 12 inches of steel running through the concaves, the sieve, everything. It ran all the way through the guts of the machine before it just gutted it?
Spit it right out the back. It was,
what is
it
that?
looked like Swiss cheese.
What does that do to a combine? Like, what's the amount of damage that does?
I think that one was about $65,000.
Oh, Shane.
And Shane, what's the most common claim that you get during harvest season?
On farm machinery, it's probably the raw congestion or, somebody probably going too quick and turning over a truck. That happens more often than you think.
Wow.
Yeah, I've seen several pictures of that, and my comment is usually they like their bellies scratched, but maybe that's not the way we should approach it. So for those who are listening, Shane, if they want to call you at Irie Insurance, what are the things that you would talk to them about are most important for their farm right now?
Well, we have a unique process of educating and communicating. Not all policies are created equal. There's expensive, there's cheap, they're in the middle, but it really takes a in-person visit to determine what is exactly important to that operation, because no two operations are alike. Everyone thinks they are, but they're really not. So we really strive on providing the education, see what's important to each grower, and then creating a proposal for their specific needs.
Now, with everything that's happened this year, as you mentioned, preventive plant, we've had a lot that's also gone on for our livestock industry where they've had some emergency assistance. With claims such as those, have any of them started to pay out yet, or what's the timeline where that'll come to fruition and actually result in a check to the farmer?
Yeah, most of our approved insurance providers have been diligently cutting prevent plant payments. We've been delivering them here for the last 4 weeks. So, with the unique situation the growers were in, it wasn't easy to, plant in squares like we're normally used to, or plant around those usual potholes. We had many, many spots. So not only planting is difficult, but reporting those acres to FSA and your crop insurance agent are even more difficult. So, lack of labor, lack of shortage, lack of adjusters, everything was just delayed this year, including final plant dates.
That's very true. The weather had a little to do with that.
Definitely is. Well, Shane, if people want to get more information from Irie or want to get in contact with you, where can they do so to get that information and contact information?
You can visit us at IrieInsurance.com, or you can call us 1-800-726-7929.
Awesome. And before we head on over to our next guest, do you have any last minute things you want to let people know that maybe, hey, we're doing this, or hey, here's a friendly reminder?
We do have very important grower meetings coming up the end of January, and they're always a big hit with very educated speakers, some good swag giveaway, and informational.
All right, so if folks want to attend those, they should be a client of Irie Insurance, and they should contact you for attendance at those meetings?
Oh, absolutely not. We provide meal, and it's open to the public.
Fantastic. Shane, we're going to make sure we talk about those as they get closer in January so folks can attend.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you very much, Shane. We hope you have a great rest of your day. And when we come back, we're going to get on the line with our next guest, Joshua Havill, the University of Minnesota Department of Plant Pathology's graduate student working on a new variety of hop for better suiting our climate up here in the upper Midwest. So if you would like to join in on our conversation with Josh, feel free to do so. Give us a phone call, 701-293-9000, or you can always reach us via email, weatheroreg@flagfamily.com. Also, don't forget, you can find us on Facebook, Weather and Egg in Focus. We'll be right back with Josh in just a few short minutes.
Think pink and help make a difference, because during Pucklich and Valley City's Why Pink event, we're donating $100 for every vehicle sold and $10 for every service repair order. Help us reach our goal of $10,000 donated to the JRMC Cancer Center and Sanford Roger Maris Cancer Center. So think pink and help make a difference as we raise $10,000 during our Why Pink event at Pucklich Chevrolet Buick GMC in Valley City.
I'm David Chapman. I'm a candidate for judge. For 25 years, I've enjoyed tremendous success in our community, but it is time to give back. I love freedom, our country, and our Constitution. If elected, I will enforce the law as it is written, not as I wish it were written. I invite you to visit Chapman for Judge on Facebook, and I would be honored to serve.
Paid for by David Chapman.
At CDW, we get the importance of clear communication.
I was on a conference call, and I think my boss asked me to send her roasted beets in a can.
Talk to the experts at CDW. Using Poly headsets and cameras, they'll orchestrate a collaboration solution that lets you hear and see clearly on any device, any meeting platform.
Huh. Looks like she asked me to send her the report sheets when I can. You like beets?
No. IT orchestration by CDW. People who get it. Learn more at cdw.com/poly.
My dad has a cold, but also has high blood pressure. That's why I got him Vicks DayQuil High Blood Pressure for max strength daytime relief. Unlike some ordinary cold medicines, it's specially formulated for people like my dad. DayQuil High Blood Pressure is sugar-free, alcohol-free, and decongestant-free.
Vicks DayQuil High Blood Pressure. The daytime, non-drowsy, coughing, aching, fever, sore throat, cold and flu for people with high blood pressure.
Like my dad.
Medicine.
Doug. Hey listener, welcome to Limu's Karaoke Lounge, where Liberty Mutual customizes your car insurance so you only pay for what you need, and the music never stops. Hit it!
There's an emu with a full-time job. His partner's Doug, but Limu's the heartthrob. Grubs and worms, that's what Limu eats. Gotta fuel up to save you money and hit the streets.
Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
I absolutely love my dog, but the constant shedding, not so much. But then I got a Swiffer Sweeper Pet Kit, and it is amazing. These super thick cloths pick up a crazy amount of hair. Just look at all that. And that was from just one swipe. And the best part? Sweeper's so much easier to maneuver than a broom or a vacuum, easily getting around chairs and under the couch. You're right. Now I can focus on you, not your shedding. Swiffer Sweeper Pet Kit, because shed happens.
I wanted to know why some people who get COVID-19 get it so bad. I found out it may be because they have a high risk factor, such as heart disease, diabetes, being overweight, smoking, and asthma. Even if symptoms feel mild, these factors can increase your risk of COVID-19 turning severe. So if you're at high risk and test positive, there are things you can do, like asking your healthcare provider if an authorized oral treatment is right for you. Learn about an option at treatcovid19.com. This message is sponsored by Pfizer.
And welcome back to Weather and Ag in Focus. Thanks for joining us this afternoon. 122 right now. Temperatures in the 40s with windy conditions up here in Fargo, gusting up to 30 miles an hour. We'll be touching on the forecast on the back half of our show. But if you would like to call in and join our conversation at any point in time, ask those questions or topics, 701-293-9000. Again, that phone number to our studio lines is 701-293-9000. Now I'd like to introduce our next guest on Weather and Ag in Focus today, and that's Joshua Havill. He is a University of Minnesota Department of Plant Pathology's graduate student, and he's working on something kind of cool that I saw a video on a few weeks ago. I'm like, I'm going to have to reach out to him, see if he's willing to join us. So Joshua, thank you very much for joining us on Weather and Ag in Focus. How's your day going so far?
Well, we just got to hear him.
Yeah, I don't know if that's a tech issue or if you're muted over there, Josh, but we can't hear you.
Try her again, because we want to hear about hops. Not quite there. We'll get him.
We'll get there. Well,
Jacob, you want to take a break real quick?
Well, he's finding him. By the way, while we're getting audio for our guests, because we want to talk about beer as usual, I just want to point out that today must be Collegiate Day, because Justin's over there wearing his UND. I walked in wearing my NDSU. We're going to arm wrestle it out later.
I can't. Well, I'm putting my money on somebody. Sorry, Justin.
Well, she's in the Farm Fit Mama class, and I apparently failed terribly.
Well, not bad, but
I did 35 push-ups. That's not bad.
I thought that was excellent. And do you know what can also help you as far as, you want to build up for that? October is pork month. We've had beef, we've had dairy, we had honey last month. Now we're up to pork.
Anything that we should know about the pork?
Okay, so the statistics say that the average American eats a pound of pork per year. I am obviously above average in that category because there's no way I only eat 1 pound of bacon every year. No way. I'm taking way more than that.
I don't feel like that's
I don't think that's right.
a low number.
It's a very low number.
How do you cook your bacon?
In the oven.
On the stove.
On a cookie sheet in the oven.
Generally with grease.
Easy over there.
No. This is a better way to do it.
Yeah, because no splatter.
What did you do?
Cookie sheet in the oven, so that way you don't have splatter.
Tin foil?
That sounds like you should just wrap it up in paper and put it in the microwave.
What?
No.
What? No.
Huh?
No.
I thought
You never had the microwave bacon?
Yeah, it's
They used
good.
to sell it. It was amazing.
No.
It was so good.
I thought you worked in a kitchen with real food. Stop that.
I did.
Okay, fine.
And so many stories to share about the kitchen life.
No, because while we wait for our guest to get his audio, one other thing to bring up about that bacon grease, leave the bacon grease on your cookie sheet and then bake your chocolate chip cookies in that. I'm saying it's a good idea.
That sounds really good.
Because I kind of did it. But additionally, hogs not only provide us with that protein, but there are 20 different pharmaceuticals and medications that come from the hogs. Insulin, we use their skin for burn victims, heart valves, all sorts of other items that we use the hog for. So it's not just about the food product. And back in the 1800s, they always said that we processed hogs and we used everything but the oink. Still doing that today, you might say.
That's called hot dogs and bologna and...
So they say. I don't want to really know. It's okay. You don't have to tell me the truth on that one.
Don't ruin it for us.
Don't wreck my world there. It's going to be fine.
All right. It looks like we got Joshua on the line now. Joshua, are you there?
Yes, I am. How are you guys today?
Oh, we're doing great. Thanks for joining us this afternoon.
Yes, of course.
So,
Justin, just a brief correction. I'm actually I'm no longer part of the plant pathology department. I am a member of agronomy and plant genetics. So just so everyone knows, I live in the plant world.
All right.
I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
Great.
So I want to know a little backstory about you, Josh. How did you, have you always wanted to get into the genetics with plants and breeding a different variety, or how did you get to where you're at today?
Yeah, I wouldn't say I have. I came to hops late in life or later in life. But when I came back to school, I thought it would be super interesting to do something that no one else has really worked on before. And there was a group who'd started to do some work on hops, and I said, hey, hops sound like they're pretty cool. They're used in beer. And the program was just beginning, so I thought I'd take a moment to just kind of do some more research and see how I might be able to contribute best moving forward. And so I started working with a couple of researchers, familiarizing myself with the crop and kind of what was needed by industry members, and that has slowly over time snowballed into where I am today.
So what did they tell you when you asked industry members? What was their biggest need for hops? We need it in beer, but what did the actual industry tell you?
Yeah, so most of our industry members did not originally come to producing hops with an ag background. So a lot of them were just becoming familiar with the crop itself, as well as learning how to grow hops, which requires a lot of specialized equipment, specialized infrastructure. It's not for the faint of heart. So they really wanted to learn about what various management options were available to them first. Simultaneously, many of these growers are also competing in the marketplace where they don't have a lot of varieties available to them to make it necessarily, not that it's not profitable, but they're competing with people who can grow it at commodity prices. So they're interested in, identifying new varieties that make themselves more competitive in the marketplace and therefore more profitable for growing hops in this area.
Mm-hmm. And where are the bulk of hops grown, and why not in our area? Like, what's the difference from where they are grown to the climate that we have right now that makes it more difficult for those hops to thrive here?
Right. So in the U.S., the 98% of hops are grown in the Pacific Northwest. So that is the tri-state region of Washington, Oregon, and Idaho. And there in the Pacific Northwest, the climate is generally much more moderate, more arid, especially in Washington. In Oregon, especially on the coast, it's not dissimilar from our own climate. They mostly deal with issues like powdery mildew and downy mildew, but they grow a lot of different varieties there. And some of those are public varieties, which everyone and anyone can grow, and some are proprietary varieties, which only certain people who have access to that material can grow. Here in Minnesota, we have a much shorter growing season, and we deal often, when we're not in the drought year, we deal with weekly, bi-weekly rain events, which is especially conducive to diseases like downy mildew. As well, we have a growing issue with powdery mildew here in kind of the upper Midwest region.
And so, Josh, how long have you been working on, I guess, basically improving the hops product, and how close are you to, I guess, launching a new way to grow hops, and how that will be helpful up here in the Northern Plains?
Yeah, so I've been working in hops since 2013 when I came to the University of Minnesota. And I have, over time, been slowly working towards trying to help develop a new hop variety or series of hop varieties that are more suited to our climate, our conditions, to make it more profitable for hop growers in our area. And I would say we're probably within 1 to 2 years of potentially releasing new varieties of hops that will achieve those goals.
And how would that affect? Would that affect pricing of the beer locally, or how would that affect our area?
I don't know that it would necessarily affect pricing of the beer per se. I do think it potentially offers a premium to brewers to be able to utilize hops that no one else, except for our growers in the upper Midwest, to be able to grow and therefore deliver to those brewers. So maybe there's the potential for a small increase in the cost of beer for maybe those beers that are using those hops, but I think already there's a premium on locally grown varieties just because there's an increase in the cost of production for our smaller growers. And so I think brewers realize the benefit of not only having locally sourced hops, but locally sourced and locally developed varieties as well. So, and I don't know that they're necessarily interested in passing on that premium to their consumers, who are more than happy to come and listen to the story of Farmer Joe down the road, who's able to grow these hops and bring them within a very short span or a short window of time to their brewery so that they can use them in, almost immediately.
And what is the longevity of the freshness of these hops? And I'm trying to go along the lines of, you're trying to introduce this new variety of hops that will thrive up in our climate, so that way it's more readily available throughout our local area, versus what we're doing right now, and that would be importing these hops from the Pacific Northwest. How long does that distribution take to get from the Pacific Northwest into our area? And is there a sacrifice in the quality of that hop that, it just doesn't do very well 2 or 3 days after you pick it? What's that life or the quality of that product look like over that time frame?
Yeah, so if a brewer is utilizing fresh hops, that would be hops that have just recently been harvested and haven't been dried. Really, the longevity of that harvest is going to be within a very short span of time. You're going to want to use those definitely within, say, a 24 to 48 hour period. Really, you're hoping that within 6 to 8 hours that you get those fresh or wet hops. Another way that hops are utilized much more broadly in the marketplace is dried and pelletized products. So, and that's where some of the specialized infrastructure comes into play, because you have to have the facilities necessary to dry the product, to pelletize the product, and then to store or refrigerate the product. And the lifespan of those those dried and refrigerated hops is definitely much longer. And we still have previous crop years of surplus available at this point. But I definitely think a way for our growers to carve out a much larger niche in the specialty crop hop industry is by being able to grow locally developed varieties.
Oh, I would agree as well. And if you have a question for Josh, feel free to reach out to us at 701-293-9000. We'll get you all connected to answer or to ask that question. Again, that phone number is 701-293-9000. After bottom of the hour here, we're going to rejoin our conversation with Joshua, talking about hops. And I'm not exactly sure how they're grown, how they're harvested. There's a lot of questions we still have, so we got plenty more. Josh, if you please stay on the line with us, we'll take this short break and be back in just a couple minutes.
Fall in our area is great, with cooler weather and the Tailgaters patio to enjoy it on. Whether it's their all-you-can-eat lunch buffet from 11 to 2 weekdays, or dinner and an ice-cold beverage after work, Tailgaters is the place, and there's no better place to watch football on Saturday and Sunday. On game day, get their never-frozen, fresh-made half-pound burgers with fries for just $10.99. Domestic pints and bottles just $3.75. There's live music every Friday night at 7. This week, Mick Klein plays at Tailgaters, corner of Main and University, downtown Fargo.
Do you have money in the bank or the stock market? Do you check the balance often? Why wouldn't you do the same for your biggest asset, your home? If you want to know right now what you could sell your home for in this hot market, go to FargoHomeValues.com. Type in any address and find out instantly. You might be surprised how much you could get for your home. Again, that website is FargoHomeValues.com, or call me, John Nosala, for a personal valuation. Find out more at JKPropertyPartners.com.
Terry, so talk about doing business with DJ Coulter and American Family Insurance.
DJ is one of those insurance agents that's always going to be there for you. And he's always got great advice for a young family starting out, for an old family. We've got all our cars through DJ, our RVs and our boats. We took out a couple cash value life insurance policies, wanted to do long-term after we retire. DJ helped us through the steps on that.
DJ Coulter, American Family Insurance, 235-6641, djcoulter.com.
When it's time to build outside the box, build with Thor.
Stan, my mother's coming to stay with us indefinitely.
I need a space for the boys. Where can we watch the big screen, play cards, eat wings, drink, and work?
Stan, there's no room in the garage for my garden tools.
Need more space, whether it's a granny flat, a man cave, a decked out shop condo, or a she shed, or a horse barn. They've gotten creative when it comes to thinking outside the box. Thor Buildings at thorbuildings.com.
If you're looking for honest, dependable, over-the-top customer service at affordable prices, you'll want to do business with Welton's Tire Service in Lisbon, North Dakota. Welton's is a name you've grown to trust, proudly serving the area for 50 years. Welton's Tire always works hard for customer satisfaction and service. They offer brands for every make. If you need tires, repair, maintenance, or on-farm tire service, contact Welton's Tire on Main Street in Lisbon. Tell them Beth sent you. Online at weltonstire.net.
Hi, I'm Kevin Pfeiffer, America's Land Auctioneer, inviting you to listen to America's Land Auctioneer radio show every Saturday morning from 7 to 8. Each week we'll cover topics like buying and selling farmland, mineral rights, farmland valuations, and more. If it has to do with land, it's being talked about on America's Land Auctioneer with me, Kevin Pfeiffer, Saturday mornings at 7, here on AM 970 and FM 93.1 WDAY.
And welcome to WDAY Weather and Ag in Focus. We are thrilled that you are here with us today, joining us, myself, Bridget Riedel, Ag Director, along with Chief Meteorologist Dean Wysocki and Justin Storm, Weather Guru Extraordinaire, or meteorologist.
Yeah,
okay.
We'll go with either or.
All right, we'll take any of the above. And we want to make sure that if you have questions out there as we talk with our guest today, who is Joshua Havill. We're talking about hops production. He's with the University of Minnesota. And if you'd like to call in and ask questions, you can do so at 293-9000, or you can email us weather or ag at flagfamily.com. We're happy to take those. And also any comments on our Facebook page, Weather and Ag in Focus. So, Joshua, let's just go to the real basic things here. Does one plant hops in their backyard if they're brewing their own beer at home? Is this more of a commercial focus that you're doing? Are they live plants? Are they seed? Get us started. What happens in the spring till I get it to my glass of beer?
Yeah, so a hop yard, in the process of getting established, people are going to propagate asexually. So all cascade plants originated from, say, rhizomes or softwood cuttings, similar to how you would propagate grapes. And those would get planted out in the spring, and slowly, you would have a trellis that has maybe previously been constructed. You would train the plants to grow up the trellis after providing some twine for them to grow up. And then, much like other agricultural crops, you would go out and you'd work on scouting and managing diseases or pests that might exist until eventually the plant begins to flower and produce those nice large cones that we're after that will eventually make it into the beer. And then when they're ready to be harvested, which is usually determined based on percentage moisture content, they would get cut down and brought to some sort of picker. They would get picked right off the plants and then dried down and pelletized and turned into a usable product for a brewer. The useful thing here is that hops are perennial, so they will come back year after year unless you encounter significant issues with buildup of disease over time, which is always a concern for any cropping system.
You said that they use a trellis. Are they like a vine?
Technically, they're vine, not a vine. So a vine has a tendril that wraps it to its support. Vines have little hooked hairs that allow them to anchor themselves to whatever the support is being used. So in this case, they use coconut fiber built into large twine that is restrung every year. So a grape trellis is permanent, but all of the above ground biomass, all that green leafy material is harvested and cut down every year for hops.
All right, let's say that we're 1, 2, maybe 3 years down the road and you've successfully launched this new variety of hop that's more resilient to our climate up here with the humidity, the disease resistance. How difficult would that be for, say, Bridget or I, because we're avid gardeners, and we wanted to plant something like this, small little crops so that way we could make some home brew? How difficult would something like that be for us?
It really depends on how the University of Minnesota will decide to release a potential hop variety. It could choose to release it as a publicly available variety, and therefore there are no sort of restrictions on who can grow it, and that might be the easiest way. There are also, we could take after a kind of a grape or apple breeding variety release scenario where we license propagators who, pay some fee for propagating and maintaining a license, maintaining plant stock, but then that fee is then passed on to the person purchasing the plant. So you might charge $1 or $2 per plant that's purchased, but then that person can grow those plants without issue. And it's just a way to recoup costs related to the development process of new varieties. It just kind of depends. But even for backyard growers, right, you could walk into licensed nurseries and go pick up an Itasca grape or a different grape variety, and the only additional cost is that you're paying an extra $1 or $2 relative to other varieties.
Well, now, if we're going to raise these in our backyard, Justin, I'm wondering how labor intensive it is to work with hops, because then we're going to need Dean to be our labor.
Yes.
For the hops we're raising.
Right.
Josh,
it is relatively labor intensive, right? I mean, every year you're going out restringing the crop. It requires scaffolding equipment on your tractor to go through and essentially string, maybe 1,800 different twines on an acre.
You're going to be busy, Dean.
Yes, yeah, sounds like it.
No more gym.
Little side hustle.
What's the yield look like on these crops? I mean, like, do you get a lot of hops off one plant, or you just need acres of these to get like a decent yield for even just outside of personal use, but for commercial production?
Right. So I will say this, it depends. It definitely varies based on the variety. Some of the lower yielding noble European hops that people might use to flavor and provide aroma to beer tend to yield somewhere between 6 to say 1,200 pounds of dried hops per acre. Higher yielding, oftentimes the bittering varieties, the ones that are used predominantly to bring across bitterness in beer, that yield can fluctuate, again, depending on the variety, between 1,200 and 2,500 pounds of dried hops per acre.
Oh, you said bitter beer. I'm just hung up on bitter beer face. I'll look forward to seeing yours all later.
I mean, I don't mind a bitter beer.
I do.
A sour beer. Those are good.
So it definitely depends. That's why there's a command for different prices in the marketplace. A lot of that is driven by how much is available and how much can be produced. A small craft brewery might only use 1,500 pounds of hops in a given year. And that 1,500 pounds may be composed of, a handful of varieties or, a great diversity of varieties. It just depends.
And Josh, explain real quickly, we've got about 2 minutes or so, the trial and error process of trying to develop a new hop. How do you know, like, all right, man, that didn't work. Let's alter this a little bit. Let's alter this a little bit. How do you know when, bingo, we've finally got it? And obviously, you said it'd be a couple years, but what's the trial and error process about going through this to try and develop a new variety of hop?
Yeah, so I think, developing new hop requires the input of multiple different parties, right? I mean, there's me as a breeder / geneticist who has this kind of idea in my mind about what I think would be a really cool variety. But then, realistically, there's what the grower needs in order to be able to grow it profitably, sustainably. But then ultimately, you need to be able to market and sell that to the brewer. And the brewer is kind of the end-all be-all for determining how well they can utilize that variety in the beer recipes that they're making. They have to want to like it. But in order to get it into the hands of the brewer, you need to be able to cultivate it at a large enough scale so that they can begin to test it and experiment with it as well. So oftentimes, we might select a handful of plants over the course of multiple years and only have 10, 15, 20 plants trialed at any given location. But that's sufficient in terms of being able to get enough hops into the hands of brewers to then start describing the sensory aspects of it, or getting sufficient chemistry data so that we can deliver that information to brewers so they know how they can best utilize that variety in the brew house. And then, of course, it has to make good beer.
That's important.
Bottom line.
Bottom line is the good beer. Well, Joshua, I want to really thank you for kind of almost last minute deciding to jump on with us and talk all about this and the work that you're doing. I find it very interesting, and so does Dean and Bridget. And I know a handful of our listeners are sending in a few comments saying that it's just been a joy to listen to you talk about this work that you're doing. So thank you very much for joining us on Weather and Ag in Focus. Before we let you go, is there anywhere you'd like to plug where people can get more information or maybe follow you on the work that you're doing or anything like that?
Yeah, if people want to, by all means, I see my Twitter address at the bottom of the video, so feel free to follow me or visit the Muehlbauer Lab website at the University of Minnesota in the Department of Agronomy and Plant Genetics webpage. You can see and learn more about the work that I'm doing. Otherwise, feel free to reach out to my awesome hosts here today, and they can pass along any information or requests that you guys might have.
Oh, yes, we will.
Thanks all three for finding a way to help me work out these technical difficulties as we sit here and chat today.
We have a crack IT team. Thank you.
Well, when we come back with Weather and Ag in Focus, we still have a bunch of ag topics and headlines to get to, as well as regional and national weather to take a quick look at. And, is there any snow in the forecast?
Ooh.
Stop that.
I don't know. Stay tuned. We'll let you know.
Rub that crystal ball and find out.
If you're looking for a great night's sleep, I'm going to give you 2 suggestions. First, go to Comfort King Mattress Factory. Second, support the community and go to Comfort King Mattress Factory. They'll make you the mattress that you want for your purposes. All the money that you spend will go back into the community. Isn't that what you want? It's a win-win.
You ever wonder who made your bed? Well, you should. And you should wonder what's inside of it. Come to Comfort King and we'll show you the who, what, where, when, and how.
Hi, I'm Capri, and the little thing I love about the Chick-fil-A Grilled Spicy Deluxe is the chicken. They actually put it on the grill, cooked it in the sauce. It's definitely a good grilled spicy sandwich.
Hey, I'm Michelle, and a little thing I love about the Chick-fil-A Grilled Spicy Deluxe is it's spicy and it's full of flavor. When you pair that with the Kale Crunch Salad, it's just good.
Order a grilled spicy deluxe sandwich on the Chick-fil-A app today. Available for a limited time. Real guests paid for their testimonials.
Yeah, I'm so stressed. Our business is growing. We've got people all over now.
Ooma.
What is that? Meditation?
I'm recommending Ooma and their all-in-one phone, video, and collaboration solution.
Ooma?
Yep. Switching to Ooma is a cinch. Just $24.95 per month per user, plus taxes and fees.
Ooma.
Now you're feeling it. Visit Ooma.com. That's OOMA.com to learn more. Ooma. Smart communications for the smarter business.
Doug. Hey, listener. Welcome to Limu's Karaoke Lounge, where Liberty Mutual customizes your car insurance so you only pay for what you need, and the music never stops. Hit it.
There's an emu with a full-time job. His partner's Doug, but Limu's the heartthrob. Grubs and worms, that's what Limu eats. Gotta fuel up to save you money and hit the streets.
Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Mostly lower trade action seen on the day Thursday. This is the American Ag Network of Jesse Allen with this closing market update. Not a whole lot of fresh news to drive the markets on Thursday with wheat, soybeans, and corn lower. Wheat was the downside leader along with soybeans. Cattle were mixed to lower. Really the only market that had a decent day in the ags was the hog sector. We're finding some support there on the back of strong weekly export sales numbers. Weekly export sales for wheat and corn were dismal again. Soybeans weren't too great either, and the cattle number wasn't that great either as well. Energy is slightly higher while the stock market under pressure. Economic worries headlining trade again on Wall Street. The VIX up near 30. A lot of traders seeing the tide shift again on Wall Street, focusing on economic risks of current monetary policy leanings both here and overseas. It feels like that's going to continue to be a weight on this market here moving forward among all the other news headlines and harvest pressure that is out there in the trade. Final numbers for Thursday's trade. December corn at 8.5 lower, 675.5. March corn down to 8, 683 1/4. November beans 11 3/4 lower, 1358. January down 10, 1370.5. Bean meal October down 5.10 a ton, 397.40. October bean oil 65 points higher, 69.67. Chicago wheat December 23 lower, 879. March Chicago wheat down 22.5, 892 3/4. KC wheat December 25 1/4 lower at 965. Spring wheat December, that was down 15 1/4, 966 1/4. March spring wheat, that finished down 14.5 at 974. Live cattle October up 65, 145.32. December down 5, 147.87. October feeder cattle down 82 at 175.72. Lean hogs October 157 higher, 92.37. December up 127, 77.77. That's closing markets on the American Ag Network. I'm Jesse Allen.
And welcome back to Weather and Ag in Focus. Thank you once again for joining us today. Interesting to learn about hops, isn't it?
Always. Any specialty crop. We went
Right.
from mint yesterday, hops today. I think that's just awesome. Tomorrow we'll talk a little gardening.
Right. And we're talking about cold weather. Real quickly, we'll hit on kind of the national weather scene here. Coldest air of the season, diving into the northern and central plains and then pushing into the Great Lakes and Northeast. not record cold, but the first freeze of the season, a little early for the Central Plains, into parts of the Great Lakes, Southern Great Lakes area. But for us, it's about
right.
For this time of the year. Justin, you talked about snow. Could see some lake effect snow in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan over the next few days. Again, not unheard of.
They're used to it.
But for
October, we know what's coming. It's not a surprise.
For the west is just kind of parked under a big ridge of high pressure, so quiet weather there. Chilly weather from the Great Lakes, Northern Plains, Great Lakes, and into the Northeast. Could that be a trend on this upcoming winter?
Well, could that pressure that's sitting over the mountains, as you said, over the west, could that build some snow because they could use it? And
boy, they could. And as long as that stays parked in the Intermountain region, we're getting some signs that may move off the coast.
Okay.
If that's the case, that's good news. That might allow a few more systems to come in.
Well, it's a big deal in the fact that we need some snow melt to go down the Missouri.
Kidding. I know.
The Mississippi is at record lows and barge traffic. So if we want to move grain downriver and fertilizer back up, we actually cannot do that right now. So counting on you guys.
Right.
Snow in the mountains. Got this?
Heard.
I can hear it. I won't guarantee it, but snow. Justin and I were talking 10 days out, and again, 10-day forecasts this far out, they're not very accurate.
Not at all.
We do see another cold. There's a couple of cool air masses coming down. We see a cold air mass coming down about 10 days from now, and our European model is trying to crank out some snow in the Northern Valley and northwestern Minnesota out of this. Our American model did not. They kind of pushed it off into the arrowhead of Minnesota and into the Northern Lakes. But something to watch in about 10 days from now. And again, the LRC cycle started today, so we're going to watch what happens over the next month or so. If we continue to get these clippers coming in from Canada, opposed to storms coming in off the West Coast, that's going to spell a big part of the LRC cycle. A lot of clippers. Is that going to hold? Is that going to hold through over the next month, 2 months and a half? And that's just what we'll have to wait and see. It's kind of a wait and see, let's see what happens kind of scenario.
When you all say there's a possibility of snow, there could be flurries in the air. That doesn't mean accumulation.
No, exactly.
I mean, our ground is still very warm.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. We don't see any surprise storms around here. Let's put it that way.
We don't?
Except for that storm over there in that chair.
I'm
right
right
next
here.
to you.
I'm right here. What are you talking about?
He's definitely no surprise.
Definitely. Some of the things I say sometimes.
That's true.
That's true. So, yeah, right now, I agree with you guys. We're at that point in the year where it is fall. This is the way things are going to be. But you're giving us a warm-up next week.
Yeah, into the weekend, early next week, before we cool back down. It's going to be a roller coaster over the next 2 weeks.
Sure.
A lot of up and down temperatures, nothing real steady, nothing record-breaking either way, cold or warm, just kind of up and down, and that's typical for October.
Yeah, it is. And if it's warm and we got some rain showers, I think those who would like the ground to soften up just a little bit.
I don't see a lot of precip in the forecast. It looks really dry over the next week or so.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, maybe a couple light sprinkles overnight Saturday, but that's not going to add up to a whole lot anywhere.
Well, we'll see what it looks like. There's been a lot of Halloweens. Kids have either worn raincoats or snowsuits. We'll see which one it is this year.
Just just stab in the dark. Just fun game.
Okay.
Halloween. What are people going to be wearing due to the weather? T-shirts, sweatshirts,
Shorts.
jackets, snow boots. What are we doing here?
I'm going to go temperatures in the 30s. Slight chance of a few snow showers.
I'm going to be more optimistic. I'm going to say it's going to be in the 50s.
Whoa.
And that it's probably going to be closer to the humid side that we might be getting some rainfall.
All right, so you got 30s?
50s.
30s in a jacket, 50s in a sweatshirt.
Yep.
I'm going to go 70 and T-shirts.
Now, somebody write this down. Maybe we should have a listener who is writing this in their phone so they can call us on November 1st and say who was right.
Realistic, possible, way out
Still
left field.
possible. Still possible. Very unlikely,
but possible.
And we'll take that.
That's all right. We'll go with that.
Bridget, should we do a couple of ag topics real quick? Or
yeah, what would you like to talk about, Justin? We've got
this word that I couldn't pronounce that you told me how to, and I forgot how to, but then I remembered, and it's coccidiosis.
Coccidiosis is right, and that is indeed a parasite that can be found in goats. We actually will find it in other animals as well, but right now there is a warning out from veterinarians to keep an eye on your goat herds, and there are more goats in the neighborhood than you realize. In fact, I'm waiting for harvest to be done so we can have a local guy who does raise goats be a guest for us on air. And Coccidiosis you can see symptoms of that parasite with diarrhea, anorexia, poor coat. Their hair would be bad, and also a loss in weight. None of that sounds awesome. Again, it's treatable. It is a parasite, but you basically have to do a fecal test with your vet. So it's kind of like Cologuard for your goats, and then figure out if they need to be treated for that, because you want weight gain in goats. They're generally a meat animal or a dairy goat that would provide milk for cheese, etc. So just an idea there to provide to those who raise goats. Dean's laughing.
Dean's in the market for a goat. That's why he's giggling over here.
I've got a
because
cow.
we had to return. We're talking about returning the cow because
you could have got a Fitbit for that cow.
The dude's having like nightmares of that cow going back up his stairs. They had to cut through the window and get a crane to get it out.
Dean needs a bigger yard.
It happens.
Yep.
Well, now that my lawnmower broke, that's why I'm looking into getting a goat now.
Oh, that'd be a great idea.
Keep the grass.
Get
keep
the
grass
goats
clean.
Yep. And now watch your goat for coccidiosis. Cologuard for goats. Take it to the vet.
Man. So I need a Fitbit. I need a Fitbit for my cow.
Yep.
And now I have to watch out for
goat poop.
And you can't put your Fitbit on the cow. That doesn't actually work.
No, I won't.
Thank you.
Your
Thank you for
doctor's
not
gonna
cheating.
freak out when he sees that data. A seer.
Dean has a lot of corn ingestion
Been
these
eating
days.
a lot of grass nowadays. Oh well, I think any last things to say, Bridget?
You should not let us talk anymore. I think we're done today, Justin.
I think poop was the line.
I got poop in again this week. That's like the third week in a row I've been able to say poop on air.
I think we've said poop 12 times in the last minute. Well, that'll do it for us here on Weather and Ag in Focus this afternoon. Thanks for joining us. We'll be back tomorrow, 1 to 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And remember, you can always find our past shows and all of our great guests on our website, wdayradionow.com. Click on the show archives, or better yet, go over to our Facebook page, Weather and Ag in Focus. We'll have all of that on there. And if there's an interview that you can't find that you really want to listen to, send us an email, weatherorag@flagfamily.com. We'll tell you the date that we had that guest on so you can go back and watch. Until then, everyone have a great day. We'll be back tomorrow. Jay Thomas Show is next.
970 WDAY AM and 93.1 FM, Fargo-Moorhead.